this decision to delay the publishing of the material till a minute before estimates started simply originated inside the FOI team, and you were trying to hang these junior officers inside the FOI team out to dry on this? Is that what you're doing?
That is not what I'm saying.
Well, then where did it come from?
So, Senator, there is no general direction as to timing other
I'm
than,
not asking about a general
complying,
direction.
Other than
Senator
complying
Shoebridge,
with the required timeframes, and that's what happened in this circumstance.
I'm not asking about a general direction. I'm asking about this. Where did the idea come from to delay the publishing of information on the Attorney General's website for FOI because of estimates? Where did that generate from? You must have done some investigation.
Senator Shoebridge.
Thanks, Chair. Nice to see you all this morning. This morning, the Canberra Times.
Thank you.
No, it is nice to see you, Minister. Yes.
And that's why I said thank you.
Indeed, that's very nice.
We don't often get that sort of welcome, can I say, Senator Shoebridge, so it's very much appreciated.
I'll make you a cup of tea at morning tea as well, Minister. Secretary, this morning the Canberra Times published a story based on some FOIs the Australia Institute have done about your department's response to a series of FOIs before last Senate estimates hearing. Have you had a chance to look at any of that?
Yes, Senator.
How on earth do you justify your department consciously and deliberately delaying the response of FOIs so that they only come out a minute before Senate estimate starts? How do you justify this conduct from your department?
Senator, the department takes seriously its obligations under the FOI Act and seeks to comply with the requirements under that Act, including in relation to timeframes. As you know from questioning over recent estimates periods, we've put a lot of effort into trying to continue to improve our outcomes in that space, and we remain committed to working to meet required timeframes.
Well, this is what your department was committed to doing just in February of this year, only like 48 hours before I was asking you questions about this. Your FOI requests team emails the FOI team who are responsible for publishing FOI requests, and they say this: can you please amend the publishing dates for the below requests to Monday 9 February 2026? Apology for the change. The line area we're seeking to delay due to estimates. Is this standard strategy inside your department? You consciously delay the release of information under FOI so it won't be available for you in the department to be contested under estimates? Is this standard policy?
No, Senator. As I said, we look to comply with requirements under the Act.
You were gaming the Act. You might have been within the statutory timeframe, but you were gaming it so that the information wasn't available so that you and your department could be questioned. How else do you explain delaying it due to estimates? How do you explain that phrase, delay due to estimates?
Senator, I acknowledge that comment was made. It doesn't reflect the normal approach that we have to responding to
No, Secretary, it wasn't a comment that was made. It was a direction that it was given and it was action that was taken. Who gave the direction to delay the disclosure of information under FOI because you didn't want it available for estimates? Who gave that direction?
Senator, I'm not going to talk to particular individuals. They were junior officers. I do note that the FOI was released ahead of our appearance.
I'm not interested in the junior officers who operationalised it. I'm interested in who gave the political direction, because it's clearly political, who gave the political direction for the delay to happen. Who in the department did that?
Senator, I do not accept the characterisation that it was a political direction.
Well, who gave the direction where did the idea come from to delay the publishing of this material because of estimates?
Senator, there was not a direction.
No, it says here, the line area we're seeking to delay due to estimates. Now, are you saying that this decision to delay the publishing of the material till a minute before estimates started simply originated inside the FOI team and you were trying to hang these junior officers inside the FOI team out to dry on this? Is that what you're doing?
That is not what I'm saying.
Well, then where did it come from?
So, Senator, there is no general direction as to timing
I'm not asking about a general direction.
Other than
Senator
complying
Shoebridge, we will allow the
with the
Secretary to
required
answer questions.
timeframes, and that's what happened in this circumstance.
I'm not asking about a general direction. I'm asking about this. Where did the idea come from to delay the publishing of information on the Attorney General's website for FOI because of estimates? Where did that generate from? You must have done some investigation.
Senator, this came to my attention on Friday afternoon, and I would just reiterate that our focus in responding to FOI matters is to comply with required timeframes, and that happened in this instance.
Well, once it came to your attention on Friday, what did you do?
I might ask...
No. Ms Harvey can't answer what you did. We'll get to what Ms Harvey did. I'm asking, you said it came to your attention on Friday, Ms Jones. What did you do once this came to your attention that your department had consciously and deliberately delayed the release of information because of estimates? What did you do once you found that out?
Senator, I engaged with Ms Harvey to understand the circumstances.
Tamsin Harvey, Chief Operating Officer. So, Senator, this came to my attention on Friday afternoon as well. At that stage, it wasn't clear to me I was unaware of it. So I talked to my FOI team to understand the circumstances around the email in terms of the FOI that it was a result of. There have been a number of FOIs in this matter. So this FOI was finalised last week, and that was the information I received. I understand that the FOI in question, the original one, was provided to the applicant on the 30th of January. The information was published on the disclosure log on the 9th of February within that 10-day timeframe provided for under the FOI Act. And I understand that the timeframe would have gone through otherwise to the 13th of February. We were responding to a query on Friday and across the weekend, and I asked my team about some assistance to respond to that, Senator, and that was the conversation. I made sure to alert relevant officers in the department about this.
Sorry, you say that they would have been published on the 13th of February, but that's not what this email says. This email says it's a direction to delay the publishing. So what was the original publication date? And it wasn't for one FOI. It was for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 FOIs. So what was the original scheduled publication date for the information for those 5 FOIs that was delayed to the 9th? What was the original date for publishing?
So, Senator, there's 10 business days are available under the FOI Act. The FOI was made available provided to the applicant on the 30th.
You're not answering my question, Ms Harvey. The email sought
Senator.
to delay the publishing date, delay it to the 9th of February for each of these 5 FOIs. So could you please answer my question and tell me what the original publication date was for the 5?
So I understand that the email had originally, the FOI was originally slated for publication, I think on the 6th of February.
Which
the
of
10
course-
days expired on the 13th of February, so there is always a 10-day period that we work within, and it was published on the morning of the 9th of February.
You see, if it had been published on the 6th of February,
1 minute.
then my office could have had time to look at it. Other senators' offices could have had time to look at the material. We could have prepared ourselves to ask a series of questions about it. But somebody, and we're going to get to the bottom of it, maybe through FOIs if we don't get to the bottom of it in this Senate estimates hearing, somebody in the AG's department decided to delay the publication from the 6th to the 9th and publish it 1 minute before the estimates hearing started. And I'm going to ask you again, who in the department gave the direction to delay the publication from the 6th to the 9th? I'm not interested in the junior officer you're trying to hang out to dry. Who was the senior officer who gave that direction?
Senator, there is no attempt to hang a junior officer out for hang out to dry. I completely reject that characterisation.
Well, then tell us who told them to do it.
Senator, I think in these circumstances, the officers...
we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this.
Sure.
Senator Shoebridge.
Thanks, Chair. Minister, did the Attorney-General or anyone in the Attorney-General's office have any part in requesting the delay?
No.
Do you know this because you've asked the Attorney-General or the Attorney-General has given you that information?
Yes.
And what did when did you make that inquiry of the Attorney-General?
When you raised the issue with me this morning.
And do you understand that includes is following an investigation by the Attorney-General as to whether or not any member of her staff were a part of seeking this delay?
Look, I don't know the specifics. Of
could you take on notice if there wasn't...
processes worked in coming to this conclusion, but I shall follow up and come back to you.
Yeah, and if there was an investigation, can you please identify what steps were taken in that investigation in the Attorney's office to form the conclusion you've just provided, Minister?
Sure.
Thank you. So, Secretary, I'm just trying to understand what you did on Friday when this was raised with you, that your department had consciously delayed the release of information because of budget estimates, Senate estimates. What did you actually do?
I met with Ms Harvey and discussed the issue, tried to understand what had happened and the content of the information that was the subject of the media query, and sought to ensure that we were in a position to be able to respond accurately to the media query.
Mm-hmm. Did you ask where did this direction come from?
Senator, we just discussed generally the specifics of the email, understanding that chain of emails had been released with the FOI.
Well, I haven't seen a chain of emails.
Well,
can you please,
email.
if there is a chain of emails, can you please provide to this committee the chain of emails, and can you do it today?
Sorry, the chain, you've referred to an email from one part of the department to another. That's what I'm referring to in terms of a chain.
Well, was there, that's a single email.
Well,
it's got more
than
than
one email in it.
Secretary, you're the one who suggested there was a chain. Was there or was there not a chain of emails?
I think there was a response to that email as well, Senator.
So 3 emails.
Or maybe 2.
2?
Yeah.
2, 3, a chain?
So,
I mean, you only did the investigation on Friday. I'm not asking you about ancient history. What did you actually do, Secretary?
Can I suggest that you don't be quite so aggressive in your questioning of the witnesses? They're here to answer them, but you are taking a very aggressive tone towards the witnesses, and I don't think they are deserving of that sort of treatment.
Was there a chain? Was there 2 emails? Were there 3 emails? We've had 3 different answers now. 1 email, 2 emails, 3 emails and a chain. How many emails were there?
Senator, we've been discussing 1 email here. that email went from the FOI team to the web publishing team. My recollection is there was a response from the web publishing team. There may have been a third email as well. I'm just asking my team to have a look. But a chain of emails is, I think, acceptable parlance for more than one email. We're not referring to something that isn't in the FOI.
Well, you saw these all on Friday, so please provide them to the committee now, if you can. And if not now, can you provide them before the end of this session so as we can ask you questions about them? You've obviously had them available to you on Friday. Can you please provide them to the committee now?
Senator, I think we will be able to provide that email. I understand that's what we're doing.
The chain of emails?
Yes, I think there was multiple, one or two emails, maybe a response, yes.
Now, Secretary, I asked whether or not you asked the most basic question, which is, where did this direction come from? And I wasn't sure if you actually asked that question or not. Did you ask that question? Where did this direction come from?
Senator, I engaged with Ms Harvey to understand what happened. This all evolved on Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
I have not had the opportunity to discuss that any further. I just reiterate my overarching commitment that with FOI we seek to ensure wherever we can that we comply with the appropriate legal framework and timeframes.
Well, Ms Harvey, I asked Ms Jones whether or not she asked you that question. Where did this direction come from? I'm still not clear from Ms Jones' evidence whether or not she asked you that question, so I'm going to ask you, you're in the meeting. Did Ms Jones ask you to investigate where this direction came from?
Senator, this came to my attention via a media request. There was a couple of lines that we received. I was not otherwise aware of it. So on Friday afternoon, part of what we were doing was actually understanding. This was an FOI about FOI reform, trying to understand actually. At first, the media request wasn't clear about even the nature of the FOI that had been released. So I alerted Ms Jones to the fact that we had this media release, the apparent content of the email, and talked about trying to get to the bottom of it. But we didn't. We talked about, this is not how we would, generally look to operate as a department. But no, we did not. This is not how we would look to operate as a department, Senator.
Well, you see, if you wanted to work out what... Well, sorry, do you agree this was wrong?
Senator, I agree that that the timing of estimates should not influence the approach we take to release of FOI responses on our disclosure log.
Well, but it did. That's exactly what happened here. If it shouldn't have happened, it was wrong. Correct?
I agree. We would not want that as a factor in our approach, and I will be reinforcing that message.
Yeah, but you see, I would have thought that a competent department, if you saw something that was wrong, would ask who did this, who actually gave the direction to do something that was wrong so that there could be some internal accountability. But from what I can tell, you had a meeting on Friday where you studiously avoided asking that question. You just sort of, please don't tell me where this came from because I may have to disclose it in the next estimate session starting next week. It was like a hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil meeting. Well, that's what happened, wasn't it?
Senator, that's very speculative in terms of the nature of the conversation. We will work with the relevant areas and work across the department to ensure that the approach that we have is consistent with that, as I described, that we do not take factors that, such as the upcoming estimates, as a issue in terms of release, and I will reinforce that messaging.
Who gave the direction?
Senator, I have indicated to you that I will be engaging with the team and across the department to reinforce the
Will you answer the question? Who gave the direction? And if you don't know now, take it on notice after your investigation and answer it on notice. Who gave the direction?
Senator, I'm happy to take on notice any further information that I can provide.
Thank you, Senator Shoebridge. Senator Shoebridge.
Thanks, Chair. Secretary, this was an FOI about a series of FOIs about your department's failed FOI reforms, wasn't it? That's what we're talking about. An FOI about a series of FOIs about your department's failed FOI reforms.
Yeah. I wouldn't use all the language that you used just there, but I think that is my understanding, that it was an FOI on a FOI about FOI reform.
Sorry, if I could just intervene. Senator, I think the sequence of events was that there was the FOI reforms, then there were a range of FOIs about the FOI reforms, and some of those were the ones we've been discussing that were responded to in January, and then there was an FOI about the FOI processing of that January FOI around the FOI.
Which is a long way of saying it was an FOI about FOIs about the failed FOI reforms.
Senator, I was just being clear in terms of which part of the process we're in February as opposed to May.
And since that happened, the Auditor-General has come down and made damning findings about how the government responds. And one of the findings, and I'll just read it from the Auditor's report, which is highlighted in this discussion we've been having this morning. Reviews of agency decision-making demonstrated do not evidence a pro-disclosure approach. I mean, what we've got here is Exhibit A in a non-disclosure approach, deliberately delaying information so it can't be used to be ventilated in a public estimates hearing. You know, it's consistent, isn't it, Secretary, with what the Auditor has found more generally? Your government, the government you're a part of, does not have a pro-disclosure approach.
Senator, I'm not part of the government. I can't respond in those terms. I am aware of that Auditor-General report. From a policy perspective, we will look at that report to consider what we can do to work across government to support uplift in responsiveness around FOI.
Well, I mean, what the Auditor also found was, and they were looking at 3 very senior agencies, including Prime Minister and Cabinet, which you think would be leading culture in this space, and perhaps they are leading culture, but in the wrong direction. Decision-making in the 3 audited entities was not consistently transparent, accountable and pro-disclosure. Do you agree with the Auditor-General's findings about the system that your department oversights?
Senator, it's not a matter for me to agree or disagree. I mean, obviously we will look at the Auditor-General's findings and use that as an opportunity to work across government to consider how to support all departments and agencies in complying with their FOI obligations.
Minister, did you agree with the Auditor-General's findings that decision-making in these 3 audited entities, including Prime Minister and Cabinet, was not consistently transparent, accountable and pro-disclosure? Or do you want to contest the Auditor-General's findings?
Look, to be honest with you, Senator, I haven't seen that report. I can speak for my own departments, and we do our level best to comply with all of the requests for freedom of information. The government has raised this issue for discussion. Not sure where it's currently up to, but the government has been concerned about the amount of resources that are now required to fulfil all of its obligations under the FOI law. And we have been looking at ways which might improve the delivery of the information as it was first intended. as I think I've said in the past in questions that I've been asked in question time, there are former senators who've set themselves up as mechanisms to show people how to use the FOI system, and I don't think using the word clogging up the system is an unfair expression of what some people are intent on doing with the current freedom of information legislation. But at all times, certainly from my own department, and I speak for the Attorney General, we do wish to comply with our obligations. It has, in the modern era, with all of the ways in which you can accumulate information, it has become a very time-consuming exercise. That's not to say the government doesn't wish to, provide relevant information to senators and to the community, but we have initiated a discussion about how we might better provide that information so that the information that people are after gets sought, but the whole system is not clogged up with unnecessary inquiries.
Yeah, well, I'm sure former Senator Rex Patrick likes you continually advertising his services as he's trying to get some kind of transparency from departments, and no doubt he'll clip and share your response, Minister. But I think
good luck to him.
I think if you my reading of the information he's got is some of it has actually been critical, not clogging up, finding critical information about how AUKUS works, about how the FOI system works. Is that what you describe as clogging up the system, that kind of information?
Look, I'm just referring to the enormous number of FOIs that are now being sought by people. I did predicate my comments by saying, look, it's this system does have an important process, and it's important that the relevant information that
Minister,
people are seeking is required to, but the enormous number of FOIs that are now being sought simply means that the resources of departments like the Attorney General's are being tied up answering these FOIs.
Well, Minister, if you do have an interest in it, and I believe you do, I'd urge you to read the Auditor General's report, which actually says that a huge amount of resources is being spent wrongly refusing to provide information, which then requires multiple reviews to the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, and then your government grudgingly providing the information. A huge amount of the work here, if you accept the Auditor General's finding, is being generated because under your government, agencies like the Attorney General's Department, Prime Minister and Cabinet, Trade, are refusing to produce documents when asked. Have you considered that it's the behaviour... Are you saying
Trade is refusing to...
It's one of the three audited entities, I think.
What? You had a question?
Do you accept that your government's repeated wrong decisions, challenged and overturned with the OAIC, is clogging up the system? Like more than half of reviews end up in additional information being provided that should have been provided initially.
Well, look, I accept... Well, I've always highly regarded the Auditor General's reports, and I will do what you have requested, which is to read the document. But no, I don't accept the proposition that we are somehow inhibiting the community from getting the relevant information. I think we have been an open and transparent government. I mean, we set up the NAC, the National Anti-Corruption Body, and in terms of my approach to this is that I attempt to give as much information as I can about what I do to the community. I think they are entitled to that. I think we do it as a government. But give me the opportunity to have a read of this document and I'll come back to you, Senator Shoebridge.
Thanks, Minister. That's a good segue into NAC. I have a series of questions about the resignation of Deputy Commissioner Rose and what, if any, changes are intended for the process of finding a replacement for Deputy Commissioner Rose. Is this the right place to ask those questions?
It will be when the Integrity and Security Group are on later today. They're
right.
responsible for
Integrity and
overseeing the work there.
I also have some questions about a letter that was provided to the Attorney General and your department from Amnesty International, APAN and AMAN, the Australian Muslim Advocacy Network, and APAN is the Australian Palestinian Advocacy Network, about seeking an investigation of Australian dual nationals who may have participated in war crimes in Gaza. Is this the right place to ask those questions?
No, I'm not familiar with that letter, but to the extent that we have any information to provide, it will be in the Integrity and Security Group.
All right. Well, that letter was provided to the Attorney General on Wednesday, and so there's a heads up for you. I'll be asking some questions about that letter and what, if anything, the Attorney General is doing to ensure that if there's anybody who's been engaged in war crimes in Gaza, that they are investigated and held to account. But we'll cover that when, did you say?
When Integrity and Security Group are on later today.
Right.
Senator Shoebridge, I've just had an initial indication from my office that trade was not one of the three areas that the Auditor General looked at. But I shall make some further inquiries. But that was the...
You can definitely raise those questions.
Prime Minister and Cabinet, Treasury and Infrastructure, Transport, sorry, not trade. I should get my prescription fixed. Transport, Regional Development, Communications, Sport and the Arts.
I'll take that as an apology. Senator Shoebridge.
Well, what I would say is, yes, I do apologise for that, but it's only because you haven't been audited yet, would be my guess, Minister.
and there would be no reason for them to be audited.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator Shoebridge.